Okay, thank you, Dov. Okay, so according to an article titled "More Americans Rejecting Marriage in 50s and Beyond." So whereas there's always been, you don't have that. I keep certain things to myself.
I don't blame you.
Have something up my sleeve over here. So we all know about the crazy divorce rate, but over the past 20 years, the divorce rate among baby boomers has surged by more than 50%, even as other divorce rates nationally have stabilized. More adults remaining single. And about a third of adults ages 46 through 64 were divorced, separated, or never been married in 2010, compared with 13%.
What percent is that?
46.
46%.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. 1/3 of adults ages 46 through 64 were divorced, separated, never been married in 2010. So that's about 33%, right? And 13% was in 1970, right? And sociologists expect those numbers to rise sharply in coming decades as younger people who have far lower rates of marriage than their elders move into their middle age. Okay. Yet we find that amongst Jews and observant Jews, the divorce rate is certainly there, but nowhere near the national averages. And in terms of, I'm just looking at our congregation, right? So the numbers are far better than what's being described over here.
I've seen a study that showed 3% among Orthodox Jews.
3%. Yeah.
And in the ultra-Orthodox community, there's almost no divorce.
No, I wouldn't say
I
that.
said almost.
Yeah.
It's a lower.
3% is almost no divorce. Yeah. Now, and divorce is not taboo in Orthodox Judaism. We have lots of laws surrounding it. We're not cavalier about it, but there are many situations where that is where that makes the most sense, considering the nature of the relationship. But from a Jewish perspective, marriage is very, very different than it is from a secular perspective.
Well, it's called Kedushin.
Okay, good point. Ida says it's called Kiddushin. The root of that, Kiddushin is the Hebrew word for marriage. The root of that is Kiddusha, is holiness. Holy matrimony. Okay? Now, all right, very often a person feels this attraction, this need, I need to be with this person. Is it just an attraction? Is it biological? Or is there something deeper that is going on over here? Again, from a Jewish perspective, it's very, very different. The Torah tells us, well, the Gemara tells us, we'll start with source number 1, and that we have the concept of a soulmate, or in Yiddish it's called a Uzi. A bashert.
Oh, no, that's not bashert. I thought it was like what was meant to be.
Well, what language is that?
Yiddish.
Isn't that what I said?
Oh, I thought you asked for the word soulmate.
So a bashert is usually used in terms of a partner.
It was bashert. I got you.
It was bashert.
Right. This is it. Right here.
That's what we're talking about.
Right there.
So the Gemara in Talmud Bavli tells us in Sanhedrin, Arba'im Yom Kodim Yitzirot Havlad, 40 days before the forming of the child, of the embryo, Bat Kol Yotzeit V'Omeret, a heavenly voice, a Bat Kol, proclaims and says, Bat Ploni Liploni. The daughter of so-and-so is destined for so-and-so. Right? it would seem the reason why it's the daughter of so-and-so for so-and-so is that usually the boy is older than the girl in most marriages. So it's going to be the daughter who will be conceived as so-and-so will be to this child. Actually, there's a very interesting medrash, which at first sounds, almost like it's tongue-in-cheek, but towards the end we'll hear a Maharal's explanation of this. The medrash we'll see in a moment teaches us that Hashem is busy with making shidduchim. Right? The Breshit Rabbah, source number 2, it's the medrash. Matrona shalat Rav Yossi bar Chalafta. Right? A matron asked Rabbi Yossi bar Chalafta, L'kami yimim bar Kodesh Baruch et olamo. How many days did God create the world? He answered, Sheshet Yamim, and he quoted the pasuk. Amar ma oseh me'atav shav ad achshav. So that was, he's pretty busy those 6 days. What has he been doing from then until now? Amar Allah, he said, he answered, God makes matches. He sits and makes matches. Pito shel ploni la ploni. Ishto shel ploni to ploni. Right? He's making matches. Who's going to marry who? Mamona shel ploni la ploni. Right? Whose money's going to end up where? Amalo vadai ha unatei afni cholasot kain. Right? She said, hey, I can also do that. He said, fine. Kama avadim kashvechot yeshli. L'shaklan yacholaz afgan. Right? She said, I've got lots of servants, right? Lots of male servants, female servants. I could match them together without it being so easy, without it being so hard. Amala, very good. Im kali beinecha kashim negosh baruch hu kriyat yamsuf. You might think it's easy for you, but for God we say it is as difficult as kriyat yamsuf, as the splitting of the sea. Right? Okay, we'll come back to that in a moment. What she do? She took 1,000 servants and 1,000 maidservants, and she lined them up. Remember in the 1970s, we had the Moonies selling flowers all around?
Yeah.
Right? So the Moonies used to have these mass weddings also. So she tried to pull one of those. Amar said, Laplonis, you with you, you with you, you with you. Vizigos and Velayla and they all got married that one night. Lamach Lagaba din moche pitzia dain ino shmita dain ragle tevira. The next morning they came. This one with a head knocked in. This one with an eye, with a black eye. This one with a broken leg. Amar she said to them, "What's going on?" Da amar le ana beiladin. But then amar le ana beilada. Right, miyad shalcha. Right. So she said, right, I don't want him. I don't want her. She called Yos bechalafta, and she said to him, Leit Eloka kelokachan. Right? There is no God like yours. It's true. Right? It's true. Right? And he said, that's why I told you, if it's easy in your eyes, it's in the eyes of Hashem, it's like Kriyat Yamsuf. Now, an interesting parallel. It's like the splitting of the sea. Why would we say it's hard for God to split the sea? What's hard for God? If he can make the sea, he could split the sea. What is unique about the splitting of the sea?
Overt miracle?
Okay, but we've had many overt miracles. Right? The splitting of the sea, right? Well, I guess in a way you're right, Janet. Because, well, what I was going to say, but I guess every overt miracle is basically along the same lines, that it is going against nature. Right? The sea acts a certain way. Right? If all of a sudden we'd see the waves, they're not coming into the shore, they're going out. Right? Right? There's a certain nature that we are very accustomed to. The splitting of the sea was going against nature. And two people getting along and being concerned about the other's wishes and subsuming their own wants in order for the collective good, right? That is like Kriyat Yamsuf. And I think really, Natalie and I were just discussing this. I think most couples, when they get together, they realize just how many things had to happen just so for them to ever have met. Right? I never went to hotels, never worked in hotels as a teenager. I always went to camps. Right? And one summer, after my first year in Israel, I needed to earn money for my second year in Israel. So I worked at a hotel with my brother, who had always worked. He always loved working in hotels. I was a waiter, busboy, then a waiter. Sorry?
In Israel?
No. In the Catskills, right? In the Catskill Mountains, right? Natalie had never gone to camp. The summer before was the one summer that she went to camp. I wasn't there, but a good, right? The next summer, as I'm in the hotel, Natalie's parents, they never before had set her up in a bungalow colony. The parents rent a nice bungalow, and they're there for the weekend, and she was there during the week with a friend who, and they were working as counselors in the day camp there. And then one week they're driving along, they decide to stop off in the hotel, and who does she see working in the office? A girl who she knew from camp the year before. The girl that she was working with is a girl that I knew from camp 2 years before. So they made up. They said, why don't you come to us for Shabbos lunch? So the girl working in the office went to them for Shabbos lunch. They walked her back. And then they're sitting down. Now the girl working in the office was a good friend with my brother's girlfriend, also working in the office. So after they walk back, they're sitting outside on one of the benches there talking, and all the waiters, we all finish working. So my brother comes out, sees his girlfriend, goes to sit down. I go out, I saw a fine young lady there, and her friend who I knew from camp, and I sat down. And that was it. Right? 2 years later, we're standing under the chuppah. Okay? But there's so many variables at play there for us to never have known that the other one existed. Right? That's Rabbi Krohn tells a story of a woman who was traveling from Los Angeles. She traveled to a conference in Philadelphia, and she had with her a book from Rabbi Twersky, a fantastic book called Generation to Generation. And she's reading that book, and on the way back, there's a fog in the airport, and they can't take off, and the plane gets diverted, and it's going to go through Pittsburgh to Los Angeles. Well, it gets delayed again, gets to Pittsburgh, and she misses her Los Angeles connection, and she realizes that she can't take a later flight. The holiday of Shavuot was coming up. She needs to find a place in Pittsburgh to stay. She doesn't know anyone in Pittsburgh, but she's holding Rabbi Twersky's book, and he lives in Pittsburgh. She calls Rabbi Twersky. So he sets her up a place to stay for Shavuot and invites her to come to his house for one of the meals. She comes to his house for one of the meals, and there's a young man there. And they got to know each other, they got married. That young man is the person who had encouraged Rabbi Twersky. He'd been at his table many times, and heard all these amazing stories about him and his family. Said, you've got to write a book about this. So that was the book that Rabbi Twersky wrote that she was reading on the airplane. It just goes on and on. I think everyone can tell their story of how many variables were at play until it comes together. But for us, this relationship is unlike any other relationship. There is great love between parents and children and sisters and brothers and certain friends we feel we have a very, very deep, meaningful connection with. But the idea of a husband and wife is completely unique. Right? Our view of it is, as we'll see, it's two people who are separate in body, but in essence they become one. And let's see the pasuk in the Torah about the very first male and female as we know them. The pasuk says in Bereshit, Vayivra Elokim et Adam, God created man, B'Tzalmo, in his image, B'Tzelem Elokim bara'oto, in the image of God he was created, Zachar u'nekeva bara'otam, male and female, he created them. In other words, before there was Adam and Eve, Adam and Chava, there was this single being,
Heterogeneous.
right, androgynous
Oh, that's the word.
being, right, which had both of these aspects, right? The fact that we say bara oto, right, that's grammatically correct. When it's a male female, right, we would follow that. And then what happened? Source number 4. Vayipal Hashem Elokim atar deima al Adam. Vayishana, Hashem put a deep slumber onto this Adam, and he slept. Vayikach achat mitzalotav. Now we often say that it was a rib, but actually the way that it's explained is its tzela is one of his sides. Vayiskor basar tachtena, and then close the flesh back, right, in its place. And then God built that side that he has taken, Leisha, into a woman, Vayivieha el ha'adam, and brought her to Adam. Right? He retains the name Adam, and this new part of him that had been separated was given the name Chava, meaning that they were created as one, they were separated, and then they came together in marriage. But that is not just their story. That is also our story. Right? That, as Rabbi Kramer writes, the Zohar teaches that every soul actually contains both male and female characteristics. When the time comes for a given soul to descend to the physical world, it separates, and its characteristics become a dual entity, one part being male, one part being female. This is the great significance of marriage and the marital union. It brings the two halves of a soul back together. The joke that many rabbis, okay, I admit, myself included, like to make is that before the marriage, I was incomplete. Now, I'm finished. Right? But what it's meant to say is, now I am whole. Now I am complete. But the same steps that took place with Adam and Chava of being together, separating, and then reuniting is what happens with each and every one of us. Right? We'll take the first half of source number 6 and we'll discuss it and we'll go to the second half. Right? On a very deep level, whatever occurred to Adam and Chava also occurs to their descendants. This is because in the hidden spiritual sense, Adam and Chava contained within themselves all the souls of their descendants. Initially, God created Adam and Chava as a single unified being. Every chatan and kala, groom and bride, are also created as one. The beginning of every couple is unity. Through the mitzvot of kiddushin and chuppah, the original unity of their souls is reaffirmed and revealed in this world. Right? All mitzvot create spiritual realities. And the mitzvah of marriage creates a reality where two souls are able to bond together. From a Jewish perspective, how do non-Jews marry? From a Jewish perspective, what's considered a marriage amongst non-Jews? So it is the physical union that establishes the exclusivity of a marriage. For Jews, though, it is a two-stage process. The first stage is the kiddushin. That's what establishes the exclusivity of this union without there being any physical consummation of the marriage. It is only, and often then time of the Talmud, a year later, the time of the nisuin, what we call chuppah, that is when there would be this physical union between them. So we first have the kiddushin, even before we come to the realm of the nisuin of the physical union. He continues, in this light, the second paragraph there in source number 6, it is clear that the halachic act of kiddushin, the Jewish marriage ceremony, does not create a marriage from nothing. On a hidden spiritual level, the chatan, husband, and the kala, wife, were already connected to one another. The effect of the act is simply to strengthen that connection and to make it manifest. There is a spiritual connection. We now strengthen that connection. We now focus on that connection. It turns an invisible connection into a public fact, and it imposes a set of legal obligations and restrictions. From that point on, they are considered married. They don't live together for another year in the time of the Talmud. We do the two back to back, right? But the Kedushin, they don't live together at that point, yet they are fully married. So how are they fully married without the physicality? Well, that's the whole point. This is an affirmation of the spiritual connection that has now been reaffirmed between them.
That's why it's called kiddushin. They're separated from the rest of society.
Yes.
The union.
Yes. So the Torah concept of soul mates is re-establishing on earth the pre-existing unity of these two souls, the souls of these two Jews. Yes?
So how are we sure that the right two are the ones that were, that neshama was the one that was originally connected?
With you and Roger, it's just so obvious.
And then, how do you know you're choosing rightly for that kiddushin? I mean, or does it matter? Is it just that every male and female aspect, we're all spiritually connected? See,
According to what we're
it's so
saying
much
here,
there.
it does matter, and we do our darndest.
So you actually have to read the Adam and the Chava parts of that neshama, of the original neshama that split, have to be the ones that reunite, not just an Adam and a Chava of two other different yishmot.
Correct.
Wasn't it
So-
rabbis that made the marriages back then?
I'm sorry?
Wasn't it rabbis that did that? Or no?
Not necessarily.
Really?
Who arranged all the marriages?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. No.
So
Look, I mean, there was a time in the world where most marriages within the
Done.
Jewish world and out of the Jewish world were
Yeah.
arranged marriages. Not necessarily by the rabbis. Often the parents would get together, and I'll give you
The
two
entire
camels, I'll
community
give you
is
three.
The entire community is in the shidduch business. Every time you see somebody not married, you're thinking, okay,
Yeah.
who can I introduce them to?
Yeah.
That's
You
in
should
our
know
blood.
how people approach me over Pesach. Oh, that son? Oh, I know. Yeah. How do we know for sure?
and if we even
I don't know that we do.
in good
Okay, let's move on. Right? I don't know that we we feel confident, in a good relationship, in a good marriage. Yeah, but we can't. I don't think there's any way that a person can go ahead and prove it. Okay, but the soul mates, according to Judaism, is a reuniting of these two parts of the soul. The Otzer HaMidrashim, fascinating. You might have heard about Lilith.
Yes.
Everybody heard of Lilith? Oh,
Yeah.
see. Okay, so there is an Otzer HaMidrashim, source number 7. Kishebara Kodesh Baruch Hu Adam Arishon Yachid. when God created Adam Arishon as an individual, Amar lo tov yadon levado, bar lo isha min adama kamohu, v'kara lilit. There was a woman created from the ground, just like him. Right? Same neighborhood, same background, same background. Ooh, sorry. Right? And called her Lilit. That was terrible. Miyad hitchilim mitgarim ze bazeh. What happened? Immediately they started to argue with one another. Right? David Foreman, source number 8. Who was Lilit? According to some midrashic sources, Lilit was Adam's first wife. Unlike Eve, she was not created from Adam's side, but rather fashioned directly from the earth, as Adam himself was. Thus, she was never a part of him. Lilit, Adam's first wife, according to the Medrash, was a beautiful woman, but ultimately she couldn't be Adam's mate. Why? Because she was, whatever the term is used there, created out of green smoke, as it were. That is, she had never been part of Adam. So she and he can never join together to recreate their original unity. She was essentially foreign to him.
She didn't want to cook for him. And she asked him to take the garbage out.
Right? So we see there are different types of physical attractions. Right? And there can be physical attraction, but unless there is that soul core connection, right, then it's not going to reach that same level. Very often, people can get along. Two very nice, fine people, they can get along. But it's not going to build that same soul. It's not going to be a reunion of the souls. By Adam and Chava, there it's a matter of a person seeking out their other part. And therefore we can understand, as deep as the love is between a parent and a child, right, that's not going to be that same thing as a soul-mate relationship. What's unique here is that oneness that they share, which is what the pasuk says in Bereshit. V'yomer Adam zot hapam. This time, etzem me'atzamai. This is a bone of my bones. Ubasar mibisari, flesh of my flesh. Lezot yikarei isha ki me'ish lukacha zot. Right? She will be called Isha. She was taken from the Ish. Al kein yazov ish daviv et imo. And therefore, a person leaves his father and his mother. V'davak bi'ishto. And he clings. Right? In Hebrew, devek is glue. Right? V'davak bi'ishto. And he will become glued, so to speak. I'll use the man Hebrew this time, Uzi. I always beat you up on that. Not to use the man Hebrew. This time we'll use it. V'davak bi'ishto. And he will become glued. He will cleave to his wife. V'hayu lebasar echad. And they will become as one once again. They become as one flesh.
He says zotapam, which is a hint, meaning this time,
that there were other
that
attempts.
was before another one. That's the
Mhm.
hint that there was another wife before.
Yes.
And that's really puzzling, because if Hashem would know and want someone corresponding, as it says, I need someone and some being corresponding to Adam. Remember, that was one of the lines in Bereshit. Then why all these failures at first? I mean, Hashem could have made it.
Because it could very well. Okay, so okay, we'll come to that. But sometimes a person needs to know what they are lacking in order to appreciate it once they have it. So I would say. Okay. So, source number 10, Rabbi Schlanger, in the words of the Maharal, it is fitting that there be physical unity just as there is unity of soul. Okay? And that unity can only be attained through marital relations. as it is written, they should become one flesh. Judaism is not prudish at all about the physical relationship between a husband and wife. We're very prudish between any man and any other woman, any woman and any other man. Between a husband and wife, we are not prudish at all. And that's what the pasuk is talking about. They will become as one flesh, as it is written. Right? That unity is attained through the marital relations. When there is a unity and a merging with one's wife, then the soul, which is united, is at peace with the body. In other words, that is the marital intimacy is an essential part of this coming together. This vayu lebasar echad, right? They become as one through the marital intimacy. Food consumption sustains human existence by fusing the soul and the body. Similarly, marital relations sustain the existence of the couple by fusing their one soul to their bodies. And this brings peace to all areas of their lives. So it is this physical fusing, right, that brings that one soul united with those bodies. Interesting.
It's the opposite of the Catholic approach where the body is to be ignored
Correct.
and only
Correct. Look, something that we find, I've mentioned before, I find it very interesting that I've mentioned this in a number of different instances and classes. The things that have within them the root word kadosh, holiness,
Kedushin.
right, are things that the other great monotheistic religions prohibit.
Right.
Right? Kedushin, marriage, not all Christianity amongst the Catholics, right? So that is an allowance for the weak.
Right.
But the real highest level will be the priest or the nun
Or abstention.
who are celibate,
Yeah.
right? Who are celibate,
Yeah.
right? And we say no. That is Kedusha. Kedusha, holiness, is that union. And on Friday night we make Kiddush over that which Muslims are not allowed to partake. Over alcoholic beverages, right, we make Kiddush. Interesting, right? Judaism recognizes the fact that we are physical human beings in a physical world, and we take that and we elevate that, we consecrate that. If you try to ignore it, then it ends up surfacing often in ways that are not healthy and that are not proper. When we hear, not that there aren't sex scandals with rabbis, but at the same time, I don't think it's quite as pervasive as it is when you're in a situation where there is no proper holy outlet for the human being's normal sexual drive. Yeah, 100%.
There's on Exhibit 10. I read I think it was a story from the Talmud about the woman who went to court asking for a divorce because her husband was a merchant, and her claim was that they don't have marital relationship.
100%.
And
100%.
and then there's a table over there, depending on your profession, how often,
How often you're home? Yeah.
He's obliged to have
Correct.
marital relationship with his wife.
Correct. And if a woman refuses to engage in intimacy with her husband,
Take another woman.
so then that's grounds for divorce, and she loses her ketubah.
Mm-hmm.
If a man refuses to engage in marital intimacy, we will force him to divorce and give the wife the ketubah. All right? And Ramban, I believe Ramban says, well, the Gemara says, if either husband or wife says, I'm okay in engaging in intimacy, but we have to be fully clothed, that's grounds for divorce. Once again, Vayula basar echad, right? That is the closeness of the flesh that is supposed to be, right? So we view that in the context of a marriage. We view that to be holy. Out of the context of a marriage, it's a desecration. In the context of a marriage, we view that to be of the holiest, the holy of the holy, the Kodesh Kadashim. Now, why do we have this split and this reunion? So look at source number 11. At its source, the soul is a single unit. When it enters the world, the soul is divided into two separate bodies which parallel two opposing forces, male and female, both of which must be harnessed in order to strive for godliness. Each half must at first undergo a great deal of individual growth, and each must eventually seek out the other. The two can be reunited this time in marriage. So there's time for each to develop on their own, and then they are meant to reunite. Right? So there can be love and desire between all genders, right, and all religions, right? But a non-soul-mate connection will not build that same that oneness, that at our essence, what we crave.
Is he saying that when the soul comes down, the male side of it goes to a person, and then the female side goes to a female?
Correct.
And then they reunited at the marriage.
Correct.
So
correct.
I think that's what you asked also, whether in the beginning, as far as whether.
Right, but what if you...
Well, how do we know we made the right call?
Right. How do you know that that was the soul that split when he first came?
Right.
And
Right.
to that end, if you did get it wrong, isn't it kind of like a desecration then? How is it kedushim?
Look, we're not angels. The Gemara says very often, I love this quote, Lo nitna Torah l'malachi hasharet. The Torah was not given to ministering angels. All we can do, and all God can expect us to do, is to make our best call. We're not angels, right? We're not soul doctors, right? That, this is that. We do our best. That's all that can ever be expected of us, and we never call that a desecration if a couple try their best. And that's it. That's all we can do.
May I just say,
That's all we can do.
I have a comment. Imagine if you knew that was the soul that belongs to you, and you didn't like it. It would have been worse. This way you have an excuse. What?
Uzi. Okay.
No, I'm talking about the other person also.
Okay. So why was this necessary? Right? When God created the animals, right? So then there were these, distinct, standalone, male, female entities. Why is it that by mankind there needs to be this split and then this reuniting? So the pasuk says, once again, in Bereshit, source number 12, Vayomer Hashem Elokim lo tov heyot ha'adam levado e'eseh lo ezer kenegdo. It is not good for Adam to be alone. I will make an ezer kenegdo. Right? What, did God make a mistake? Did he first create Adam and say, that's not good, lo tov, let me try to fix it? Everything else, Hashem saw that it was tov. V'hinei tov ma'od. Right? Everything was ki tov, that it was good. So what's happening over here that God obviously, purposely created something in a state that was, as of yet, incomplete. Lo tov. So everything else he created in a complete fashion. except for mankind. The Gemara in Yevamot says, Amr Rabbi source number 13, Kol Adam, she'ein lo isha, a man without a woman, eino Adam, is not a complete Adam. Shenemar says, Zachar nekeva bira'am, vayikra et shemam Adam. Male and female created them, and he called their name Adam. Man is created incomplete because God gave man the job, the mission, to partner with him in completing creation. Actually, when we say Naaseh Adam, right, the pasuk says, God said, let us make man. So Rashi brings that even though we know that later, and Rashi certainly was on the receiving end of this, that will say, oh, so you see, God is not one. Naaseh Adam. There must be a trinity. There must be who knows what. Right? But it's there to teach us the important lessons. Right? And one of those lessons is Naaseh Adam. We must make man. Who partners with God in making man? We do. That we must partner in making who we are and in making this world. Right? So, right? Man is created incomplete because we have the task, the mission to complete creation. With this, we can go back to that first almost comical medrash of the Matronita and Rabbi Yossi ben Chalafta. What does God do? How does he stay busy? He was busy for 6 days, and then he's just been on leave, on extended vacation. No. He's making shiduchim. That's what he's doing. Right? Hasheila hi el davar chadash. The Maharal says in source number 14, the question that was being asked by that woman was, what new things is God doing after he completed creation? And that was the answer, that he makes matches. Right, just like he matched Adam and Chava, so too he matches up each man, each person and his wife. The kol zivug hu maaseh chadash, and each zivug is now like a new creation. Not like the perpetual creation of man. Right? So, parents have children, and boys are born, and girls are born. Right? That is the world running according to the natural course, the teva that Hashem has set. The ein chadash, that's not essentially anything that is new. Avamash mechaber et adam aprati zel isha pratit zot. But the pairing of this particular man with that particular woman, hu bevadai davar chadash. That certainly is a davar chadash.
God created man, but we're responsible for turning him into a mensch.
Okay, that's a nice way of putting it, Ida. I like that.
That's the wife's job.
Yeah, so since only man was created in a state of lo tov, mankind is in the need of continued creation. Everything else goes on its natural course, but our completion takes creativity, takes continued work. Right? Therefore, every act of bringing a couple together is another instance of God's creation. And that's what he still engages in. Rabbi Edelstein has a very, very beautiful piece on this. Targum Onkelos, source number 15, translates lo tov as lo takin, meaning it's not yet corrected or it's not completed. Man at that stage was an intrinsically not good reality. For the only being that could stand alone and yet still be in a complete state of unity is God himself. So we have God who is alone and complete. Therefore, it had to be the man would have a partner. The animals also needed partners. However, man was first created as one being, and afterwards was his partner created from him. The animals are created as two beings from the very outset. This is to give man a greater possibility of achieving unity, given his unique place in the creation. This places man between God and the animals. He is not a total unity like God, for as a created being he needs a partner. Yet he has a dimension of unity to him being created one at the outset and making him more connected to unity, more able to achieve that state of unity which he began with at the outset. So you have the animals, right, the lower creations, which are forever separate, disparate. You have God, who is inherently one. And you have Adam, mankind, B'Tselem Elokim, who have the ability to become this one. I'm sorry?
I didn't understand that paragraph. It confuses me.
So the way I'm understanding it is you have God, who is this inherent one, unity.
Right.
You have animals who are hopelessly separate.
Right?
And you have mankind, who has the ability, being created lo tov, to constantly strive towards becoming this one.